Hey, where'd my sunglasses go? Did I have sunglasses? I should probably have my glasses on. But... Always a lot of questions in the comments about our soffit. It's MWI, pre-cuts the soffit, and it is actually painted and finished with the same paint as our steel, so it's a perfect color match. We have a 2-foot overhang, so these are actually cut at 23 3/4. That way, if it was cut exactly at 24 and your overhang was 24, by the time you put trims on, if there was any inconsistency or any non-perfection.
Like that staple.
What?
Like that staple.
Well, I don't think that's really what I'm talking about, but yes. Then the 23 3/4 helps overcome that. But anyway, these are just pre-cut soffit. We always run solid soffit on the ends because we don't want air being drawn in where we don't want it. We want it to come out of our eaves and then suck up like a chimney effect to our vented ridge cap. So you can see the way we run our soffits, we don't do that. A lot of people call it a bird box, where the eave soffit is going to continue out and then create a box. I like to run it the other way. I just think this is cleaner, but it means we have this weird spot where, you know, it's open. So we got to do something with that. We take a piece of trim and cut it to fit. So it covers that up nice, and when we do all of our side steel, it should be perfect for that. Now, because we're doing a standing seam roof, it's not going to get a traditional gable trim. We're going to have a fastener-free trim system entirely on the roof, which means we got a couple different trim details that I'm going to show you. One maybe you've already seen with the eave trim and how the panel, the roof panel, is going to hem over top of it. But on the end, we've got a very similar idea, but a different trim design. So we've got this cleat trim here that is black on one side because that's where potentially you might see it. But it's going to go up on the roof like so, and you'll see this little, actually I'll show you. Let me go ahead and install this, and I'll show you what it's going to do. So we're going to have this piece of trim, which is covered in plastic right now. You'll see the back has a 1-inch hem. That is going to get tucked and slid over top of our roof panel, which you'll see. And then it has a, I don't know really what you'd call this, but it's an open hem big enough to then get over top of this trim like so. And then we'll have to come through and we'll use our benders to close that, locking it on tight, giving us a clean, fastener-free system that's going to lock onto our roof panel, and it's going to lock onto this cleat trim, you know, in essence not allowing any place for a penetration into the roof system at all. Pretty cool, a lot of extra work, but it's going to look clean when it's done.
Wait, what? What'd you do?
Changed up how I started just a little so I could hit that center groove. Pretty sweet, huh?
I used to be so beautiful, now look at me.
Greg, truer words have never been spoken.
I'm telling you, man, I'm out of my prime, I guess.
Nah, man, I think you're just getting close to it.
That's why the girls aren't coming to my my yard.
That's because you don't have any milkshakes. Wait. Yeah, you don't want that. All right, me and Greg just finished up all of our soffit fascia that we could do. There's obviously a little spot where The second story porch is going to be dying into the main structure, so we can't necessarily finish that up right now, but we're kind of at a point where we are trying to decide what to do, and I think we're going to start trying to get going on our wainscot. We had all the Boral versetta stone show up this morning, so that got delivered, which means we can start going on our wainscot, which is going to be an entire wainscot of versetta stone, and that's also going to be incorporated into the exterior chimney that's going to be on the wall far back here behind me. And we would like to get started on the porch, framing up the porch, but I don't have the brackets I need in order to get them mounted to our concrete piers out here, so I got to hold off on that. So I think for the rest of the day what we're going to do is work on getting as much prep work done for the wainscot as possible. Our wainscot's gonna be 40 inches. That's where the stone is gonna stop. So we've got to run a framing member throughout this whole wainscot. We're gonna run 2 foot on center down the whole wall. That way we can install plywood backing for the versetta stone to get installed against, because obviously it can't just hang in midair. So that's what we're gonna do now. We got the cut hub. Nice thing about the cut hub, I don't talk about it much, but you can set this to whatever desired distance from your blade you want, lock it down, and then make repetitive cuts. And since we have, Greg, I figured 36 cuts back here. Over here we got about 20 cuts, 36 cuts. That's about 100 total cuts that we've got to do. No sense in pulling tape measure every time out. We'll go ahead and do it one time and just go to town. I don't know, that was pretty efficient. I just cut up roughly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 60 boards in a matter of, I don't know, 5 minutes. I mean, literally, that took no time at all.
That was quick. I mean, yeah, for blocking that thing.
That's the cat's meow.
That's what the kids call it.
So, I don't think so.
That's what the kids say.
So we've got our grade board, we've got our girt here, and we're going to put a 2x4 on the backside as a block. And then what we do on the inside between the girt and the grade board is install a 1x, which is 3/4 of an inch. Then what we can do is take 3/4 plywood and run it entirely in between the girt and the grade board, giving us a nice flat surface to install our versetta stone. And now you may be asking yourself, why don't you guys plywood on the outside of your 2x? Because it messes up with the plane of everything. So as we go to a door or a window that is installed to the girt, now we've got 3/4 thickness of plywood sticking out, then our stone. It changes the way the trim details work. So we found it to be best to basically inset our plywood, and you'll see that as we go on. So that's what we're doing. It may look a little unconventional. There's no real science behind it. These are not necessary for strength of weight holding per se, because it's all gonna bear onto the grade board, onto the concrete foundation in the end. The thing we have to be careful of is using 3-inch nails. This Milwaukee framer definitely drives them home, so we got to make sure we go on a slight angle so we don't pop through, because you don't want to install your steel later and have a little dimple only to find out that it was a nail that was driven. I'm not saying it's ever happened and we've had to repair anything, because have we had it happen?
No, I don't think so. We have had the insulated poke a nail out through the side.
Yeah, we have had that happen.
But I don't think we personally have.
We've had customers poke screws out. All right, another day has come to an end here. We wrapped up all of our soffit fascia details. We did some more framing. We're ready to install, for the most part, our sheathing that we need for our versetta stone. Tomorrow, if I can get to the lumber yard or have them deliver the materials, the goal is to start framing up the porch. I'm gonna go ahead and clean up, get out of here, and me and Greg will see you later. All right, so I'm looking for 10-foot 1.5 and 19, 10, and 7/16. Are you good?
Mm-hmm.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
41 foot. 49. 57. 65. 73. Perfect. Nice, dude. I'm already sweating like crazy. Concrete guy did a good job, man. These marks are almost dead center, which is awesome. And you can see we got that snap line there. Now we'll just go through, we'll get all of our brackets mounted. Okay, so we're gonna go 30 1/4. Look at me, dude. I'm already sweating like crazy. You must not work hard enough.
Or I just know how to control my heart rate.
That's true. I'm always stressed out, so my heart's always going. Definitely is a little bit overkill for track, Greg. We could have used the other one. Also, I need to get myself a nice Diablo
Blade on that?
Yeah. Look at this sucker, man. 9 1/4 cordless track saw. Does it get any better? Bro, you want to know why I'm impressed? A, because it's cordless. B, because that just cut through 5 sheets of 3/4 plywood.
4 and
apart. But
yeah.
C, because that always bogs down a saw. Look at it, pinches it.
Yeah, not that one.
Dude, that thing powered right through it. Wow. Okay, so 4.5 sheets. Dang. I'm not gonna lie, I gotta give it to Makita. That's impressive. Oh, track saws are for carpenters in finished carpentry shops and cabinet shops. They're not for a framer on a site. That's like your common social media person's response. Ugh. That was a 2-bar, 9-amp-hour flex volt. We just ripped down, I don't know how many, well, those are about 3-foot pieces, and I think we've got about 70 of them, so I guess do the math. Oh. All right, so it's finally time to start cutting the 6x6 cedar. This is an S4S, which means it's surface prepped on all four sides, really nice and clean, and it's dimensionally accurate, which is why we use it. It's more money than the rough sawn cedar that we used to use, which was cheaper, but it was very inconsistent, therefore I didn't really like to use it. All I did was took the dimension on the bracket that we found with the laser. This porch is gonna be an 8-foot ceiling. So I used that dimension, which was a negative number since it sticks above. I don't know who that is. They're gonna have to wait. I got an 8-foot ceiling, so I've got to consider the 5.5-inch header that's gonna run across the front. Take that minus also the dimension that those brackets are sitting out of the ground, and that is what I'm gonna cut off. And I'll be left with almost a 2.5-foot piece of cedar. I do that because it's a lot easier to cut off a chunk of material than it is to order an 8-foot column and just cut slivers off the end, especially because I'm using the beam saw. So I got Greg here playing catcher, and he's gonna grab these chunks as they fall so that they don't split and cause any issues. And then we're actually gonna use these cutoffs. So it's not like we're wasting money and material. We're gonna use those cutoffs for our knee bracing that goes on the angles of the post. All good. You ready, bud?
Yep.
All right, here we go. You got your hearing protection in?
Yep.
A couple important things to remember when using the Super Sasquatch, what we dub the kill saw, because it could chop a man in half, a small man at least. Greg, watch out.
Don't look at me, man.
But it's beautiful because it does one clean pass through a 6x6 piece of timber. Greg is being very careful not to pinch the lumber, but rather try to continuously pull it apart while I'm going through it, and then at that last break, it goes nice and clean versus snapping off and causing issues. And all of this with cordless power. Just plugged in. Is that shooting at you too much?
Yeah, a little bit.
It's man glitter, Greg.
See how white that one was?
Yeah. Is that a big deal though?
No. Just saying.
Just making sure. I mean, I don't mind the color of the cedar. Do people pick white over the darker cedar?
Depends on the look you're going for.
Okay, so it's not like one's better than the other.
No.
Exactly.
It's crazy how this can start off with like a darker green.
Well, I think
a lighter green.
I think the lesson here that we're learning, Greg, is that you can't really judge a cedar by the outside. You got to look at the inside to find its true value.
That one smelled really good.
Man, some of these are really nice, dude. I mean, look at how tight the grain is. It cut like so clean. These are some nice cedar posts. Greg, you're so strong. I don't know how you did that.
It was nothing. It was lighter than a feather. Where's my water?
So at this point, we've got all the cedar columns that we can cut because we're missing those two brackets at the far end. And then I've got all the main headers cut and prepped, ready to go. But we'll leave off the outside corners. So what we're going to do is run all the columns. We're going to put all the main headers up through the middle and then plumb everything up as best we can so that we can then get exact dimensions for our corner cuts. That way, if there's any minute growth at every joint, we can capture that at the very end and make sure that the front of the porch is not big or small, but the accurate dimension by the time it's all done. And that's going to allow us to frame the roof structure as good as possible so that we can have a nice square roof system. Heck yeah! Look down it. Which way? Is that up? Crown. Crown.
Crown. No, you want to reverse it. 180 it. Yep, crown would be up if you set it like that.
Okay.
Counter.
Yes. A little more. Right there. How's the back look?
Beautiful.
Does it?
Dude, this is some of like the best joints we've done.
Let's give me some, bro. Let's go. So what we've got going on right here, it's a little bit unique, or I don't know, unique to us. You haven't seen us do it on our channel, but this is the header that's going to go across the front of the porch, and right at this post location, and also 24 foot down the way, there's going to be another post coming straight back to the building, and that is to really just break up this porch area. So where I'm at right now is going to be, this is going to be a floor for a second story deck, and we're going to run this beam out of that pocket back to the wall here, and then you can't see it probably, but down there where Greg's at, almost 24 feet away, is another pocket just for a fake looking header. So it's not going to actually be structural, but I wanted it to rest on this column so I can get a nice connection point through it and have enough meat there to do that. And I didn't really want to get crazy with some joinery. All right, so now that we have all of our headers to the corner, this is our corner column. We've done the best we can. Maybe we're within a 1/16 on plumb on this last one. We're going to go ahead and measure exactly what we want it to be while we're plumbing it with the stabila, which 8'16", which that's pretty standard.
Yeah.
I mean
you
can't
grow,
butt
you
a bunch
grow
of
16th or
6x6s.
so on your joints.
What?
You could grow a 16th
What?
or so on your
I
joints.
can't. What'd you say?
So you could grow a 16th or so on your joints.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I had my isotunes in. I couldn't hear you. Got it. Okay. Now go ahead and give me that guy. I'm ready, man. Let's see this magic come together. I'd say cross your fingers, but it's not about luck, Greg. It's about preparation. Let's see if we are prepared or not. Oh, baby. Oh. I mean, once in a while, you know what they say. Get this guy. Miter turned out pretty decent. Let me show you a little trick here, YouTube. You knew that one, didn't you, Greg?
Yeah.
I've shared that before. Nothing new.
Time or two.
Every carpenter knows that. Man, what a day today. It's a Friday. Super hot. Look at me. I feel disgusting. Me and Greg are ready to go home. We just wrapped up cleaning up site. I've got everything secure for the weekend. Supposedly some strong thunderstorms coming in tonight, tomorrow. I'm not too worried. We got all this new cedar beam and header on the porch braced off real nice, installed, and I'm pretty excited to get back here on Monday and continue building this. So hopefully you guys are as excited as I am. If you're interested, hit that subscribe button. And if you are subscribed, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. And we'll catch you guys on the next episode.